Welcome everyone to Wrasslin Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when the new generation took over the WWF. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
I got some comments for you, bookworm. Jason Bartlett, you want Ryan Arico's attention? You got it.
He is a bookworm.
Well, if that's the worst thing that can be said about me, then I'm good to go. Joe Giammatteo.
Yeah, I didn't know pirates really existed anymore, so let's go ahead and start this show.
Oh my God, I certainly made note of that. I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett. We're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw at a time. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on September 18th, 1995. This Raw was recorded at the Canton Civic Center in Canton, Ohio, and features Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
All right, then, let's get into it. Last week on Raw, there's a nice change of pace as we have a hard rock / bluesy type musical score behind our video packages here.
The Jim James is gone.
We'll get a review of the interference last week with the Bulldog and Razor and Dean Douglas and the 1-2-3 Kid. And here's where we get the official intro sequence. And yes, it has been altered. Instead of Jim James singing, "We like it raw,"
No doubt about it.
It's picked up a little harder. It's sticking to kind of, I called it like a rolling kind of Southern blues style. It is an improvement. Welcome, everyone, to a special Thursday edition of Raw. So, for the record, I have no clue why Vince said this here and then repeatedly throughout the rest of the episode. I checked. This episode of Raw was recorded, not aired, recorded on August 28th, 1995, which was a Monday, and was aired on September 18th. Again, a Monday, so I don't know where this special Thursday edition bullshit was coming from. Do either of you guys?
No.
No idea.
Okay. I didn't think so, but, sometimes the internet lies. So, remember 2 years ago when the Kid made a name for himself with a victory over Razor Ramon? Well, we're going to go just do that all over again now. For the record, Dean Douglas is just outside in his mobile classroom. And we're going to go now into our first match of the night. The 1-2-3 Kid defeats Razor Ramon by pinfall in 7 minutes and 8 seconds. Once again, we can't have this match without showing that glorious bitch slap that Razor put on Dean Douglas back at SummerSlam. Poetry in motion. Quite possibly. I mean, the way other things are turning out, I might just have to formally nominate that bitch slap for best match of 1995. And in a shocking turn of events, for me, personally, I'm sure everybody else saw this coming, but the Kid, he attacks prematurely after everybody's into the ring before the bell has rung. And it looks like Joe was right, and that the Kid might have some heelish leanings now. It's funny how things go around. You now have friends of Shawn Michaels doing the thing where one lays over the corner and the other kicks up into them, with the one laying down, selling the kick up into the air. I've talked about it a couple times over the past few weeks, and it's kind of evident that the Clique spreads their strategies around here because Razor and the Kid do it here. This time, though, they only do it once. The Kid, who is the competitor laying across the top ropes, he accidentally starts to sell a second kick before correcting himself, but then they follow up with a super fall-away slam that looked great. And goddamn, that first chop to Razor sounded amazing. We get great air from the Kid when Razor tosses the Kid, and just throughout this entire match, the Kid is selling his ass off for Razor Ramon. There's one spot, it's a reversal sequence into a choke slam. Razor chokes the Kid, or choke slams the Kid, with that. It looked really good. Everybody did it very well. Towards the I'd say 2/3 of the way through the match. The sleeper hold sequence, slightly off-putting. I just wasn't feeling it. It wasn't coming across to me, but I was very happy to see that it was mostly timed perfectly with a commercial break. We didn't really sit in that too long. Of course, the official gets knocked out of the ring, and of course, Dean Douglas is coming in. Thankfully, the interference here is kept to a bare minimum, and it leads to the 1-2-3 Kid getting the pin and the victory. Joe, you were pretty skeptical last week about how this was going to play out and where this story might go. What do you think about this so far? I know it's not over, but just so far.
I mean, they're having their match, but the Kid sort of got shoved aside to get this Dean Douglas and Razor Ramon thing heated up. So I don't know. I think there is definitely a move towards the heel side for the Kid, it looks like, but it's moving pretty slow, which I guess is a kind of a good thing. They showed last week, I think it was at Superstars, where they showed the Kid crying after Razor was slapping him.
After he slapped him.
Yeah.
Or was that after Raw went off the air last
Maybe,
week?
yeah. That's not really heel behavior, but okay.
No. But maybe that's what will make him become heel.
It leaves us wondering.
How dare you make me cry in front of my mother, Razor?
You treat me like a kid.
Well, he was beating the shit out of him like a kid.
He was.
Quite a bit in this match. Would you say it was, Bartlett? 7 minutes? So it wasn't too long.
Yep, 7 minutes.
Earl Hebner taking another terrible... it's just doing a terrible selling job of taking that bump. It was bad. And I guess one splash from Dean Douglas was enough to knock Razor out for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That was kind of weak, but I don't know. I mean, I think that these guys could have had a pretty good match, but this was clearly just to get that interference in.
Yeah.
I think it's no surprise that these two guys worked really good together. You know, right from the get-go, the spots were timed up pretty good. And yeah, they did the Shawn Michaels corner of the turnbuckle kick thing, but I thought the Kid did a better job than HBK in not overselling it. You know, how HBK flies 10 feet up into the sky when he gets kicked there, where the Kid kind of sold it a little bit more realistically. But other than that, Razor just kind of manhandles him for a while, and it looks good. Lots of good selling there. Razor throwing the Kid over the rope. And I love the one part after he slapped him over the top rope, and then he just gave him that cocky, what the fuck you want from me look, I always love when Razor gives that look. Then the choke slam. I mean, everything that these guys were landing really looked pretty good. Even the sleeper hold, you mentioned that it was timed up perfectly with the commercial break. So there was really no harm in that either. I mean, I guess if you were actually in the crowd and in the audience, it might have been a little bit annoying and slow. But for us here at home, it was no problem. The Dean Douglas splash, I thought it looked good. It was a good looking move. I'm hoping to see him more in the ring and less in promos, but I wasn't crazy about giving the Kid this win off of that. Like Joe, you mentioned, this one splash and Razor was out pretty much cold. The Kid took his time getting back in, and I thought for sure he was going to kick out with how much time he gave Razor before he went for the cover. So I was a little bit off on the ending, but I thought all in all, it was a really strong match.
Yeah, I agreed on all points, and you don't get on that tenured track with a weak splash. So there's a reason he made it to Dean. Speaking of, we're going to go now to the report card with Dean Douglas. And here we see the continuing personality of Dean Douglas. Now he's wearing a crazy colored glitter robe thing.
Yeah, a Technicolor dream coat of some sort.
That is pretty close.
Was that just bad editing or something? Because he has his ring gear on now.
Yeah.
With a robe. And he's sweating bullets. Like he just came out of a 15-minute match.
Yeah, I think they must have cut it off from another Superstars or something.
Probably, yeah, that's probably. I just assumed he had come from some kind of match at a house show somewhere. But this purple robe and the wrestling gear, that's what deans at colleges wear, especially when they're getting ready to break down and evaluate the performance of some individuals. I won't get into the details on this. This is all just garbage, but it's at this point that I realized that this is the go-home show for In Your House 3. It just didn't dawn on me until just now with this. Dean Douglas and Razor Ramon are going to meet there in the squared circle. How about that? Joe, just briefly, what did you think of this week's report card?
Well, like I said, I just thought it was really strange editing that he comes out and gives the splash. He's wearing like jeans and a shirt, and then he has this ring gear on all of a sudden. It was pretty strange. So I think I was too distracted by that to really pay any attention.
Yeah, it was very odd. You see him in this bizarre coat that he has on that he didn't have on 2 seconds ago and was out of breath like he just ran a marathon. So that was a bit odd. But as far as his morphing in personality, I wouldn't say it's great, but it's better than it was.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. I think the whole thing is just so weighed down by the occupational gimmick. Just ridiculous. Well, the report card will take us into our next match. The $1 Million Corporation. This time it's Kama and Tatanka, with the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, defeats Savio Vega and Bob Holly by pinfall in 5 minutes and 47 seconds. This past weekend on Superstars, the $1 Million Man,
He got what? He got slopped. Good old-fashioned American slop.
Apparently that means Henry Godwin will be taking on Psycho Sid at In Your House. Back in the match, I loved seeing Savio Vega trying to get Bob Holly to dance to that carumba music he always comes out to. One of the more entertaining things about this match, as always, the energy of Savio Vega just can't be ignored. He brings it fast and hard and puts pretty much everybody else here to shame as far as energy goes. The whole interference angle on this was horrible. At various points, the referee was almost fighting Bob Holly, keeping Bob out of the ring and allowing the interference to happen in the corner with Tatanka and Kama double-teaming Savio Vega. The one good part of all of this is that Savio Vega, as always, a professional and was really selling all of this well. All of the action here, Savio Vega was just immaculate with, in my opinion. This Bob Holly distracting the referee thing, God, that was just... I admit that it's effective for like a quick bump on the other side of the ring, but the amount of distraction happening with this was just ridiculous. At this point in my notes, though, just again, for the record, Savio has not had a single bad move or bad spot in this match. And also at this point in my notes, I think I am finally over Vince McMahon on commentary. It just feels like he's getting more and more obnoxious as the weeks go on. I don't know if this is because this is green screen commentary as opposed to live. It seems like he's a little more toned down whenever it's live commentary. I don't know, but it's starting to get on my nerves a lot. Finally, the match ends with Kama reversing Bob Holly into the pin and the 3 count from a splash off the corner. Ryan, what did you think of this match?
Savio Vega and Bob Holly both are people I enjoy watching in the ring, as well as Kama, and Tatanka's okay as well. So everyone here, just as far as looking at the card, looked like this would be a pretty decent match. And for the most part, that was the case. But yeah, the interruption with Bob Holly and the ref it just kept on nagging at me the wrong way. Once, like you said, is fine. But this was, 4 or 5 times that the exact same thing. He tries to come in, so the ref comes to him. He argues with the ref while Tatanka and Kama just beat the hell out of Savio. I mean, it got so bad at one point, even Vince brings it up like, geez, whose side is he on?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if this was planned or if Holly just forgot how many times he tried to do this in the same match, but unfortunately, it brought down what was good ring work, especially out of Savio Vega. I also loved Vince and the King directly bringing up that Bob Holly got in a fight at the race, basically. I mean, they didn't say the words, but they said that he was a hothead both on the track and in the ring. I laughed for quite a while after that. Outside of that comment, though, the only thing I have marked here is great ring work, but this interruption with Holly and the ref just ruined it.
Just real quick, show of hands. Who thinks that Earl Hebner could actually hold back Bob Holly?
Exactly. Yes, that's what I'm thinking every time, too. I'm like, how is he actually stopping him from interrupting anyway? But whatever.
I agree with you guys. The distracting the ref was too much, and it just made Bob Holly look like a total jackass in this match. And yeah, otherwise, you know, it was 4 guys that you normally like to see, but this match is just kind of thrown together like sort of a random pairing with Bob Holly and Savio Vega, and the stupid distraction stuff it didn't do Bob Holly any favors, and it didn't do Savio any favors, in my opinion. You know, Savio has this random match with Waylon Mercy at In Your House, but we're getting him in this before. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really set anything up. So yeah, I don't know what the purpose of this match was. One thing I did like a lot, or I was going to like a lot, was that power move by Kama to win, you know, to get the pin and win. It looked like, oh boy, this is going to be impressive, but he didn't quite fully pull it off. So that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But, and the camera wasn't in a great spot for it either. It was too close.
And I think one of the guys was in the way, maybe. But it was just kind of just meh, whatever.
Yeah, for the record, that finishing move was, who did I say? It was Bob Holly. Yeah, Bob Holly was attempting a leap of some kind for some point. I mean, we don't really know if it was a flying kick or what off of the top turnbuckle. And the way that it was supposed to go was that Kama was supposed to catch him midair and then kind of, you know, turn his body and keep it going around into the pin. And that's mostly what happened. But where it started to go wrong was somebody was off their timing or something, and he kind of just drew Bob Holly's face across the mat for a good 6 inches when he was getting him up in there for the pin. At one point thought maybe Bob Holly was going to have a concussion from that, but that was maybe just wishful thinking on my part. Now, standing by, we've got the bad guy, Razor Ramon. He has some things to say. Razor cuts a fairly decent promo on Dean Douglas. This was nothing to scream about, nothing to really quote, but it wasn't bad. Still to come, though, we've got that match between tag champs Owen Hart and Yokozuna and Men on a Mission. And then it's coming. Not day and night, but it's coming. LT battles Bam Bam Bigelow. What? Blah, blah. You know, they run through basically the entire card of WrestleMania 11, and this is where we get the one highlight of this, a camera shot of Nicky Turturro, the man himself, happily and exuberantly jumping and skipping down the entryway at WrestleMania 11.
The savior of WrestleMania 11.
Yeah, one good thing. And that's what this is all about. This is for WrestleMania 11, the special. It really reminded me of Spaceballs, the sequel, or something like that, you know? Just real briefly, Ryan, what did you think of Razor's promo? And do you know or have any idea what the deal is with WrestleMania 11, the special?
The Razor Ramon's promo I thought was, pretty decent promo. I did get a good laugh out of the backdrop, though, because it looked like one that you would choose from back in the mid-90s for your class photo. This was the brushstroke one opposed to the laser background. But the WrestleMania thing, the only thing I could make out is that it seemed like they were going to air WrestleMania 11 on cable on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And that's what was special about it, was it was just going to be, you know, free WrestleMania on, I don't know, TBS or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or like Fox or something. Or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I read a couple Observer newsletters I was reading that they were talking about this WrestleMania special, but that was like 4 months ago. I mean, WrestleMania was over 5 months ago at this point, so
Well, no one's buying those Coliseum videos anymore,
Yeah.
so now they could give it away for free.
Coliseum video viewers. I don't know. That was odd because there's a lot of things different now. Like Shawn Michaels was a heel at WrestleMania. He's not anymore. Bam Bam was a heel. He's not anymore. So it's just strange. But back to the Razor promo, I thought it was pretty good. I'm looking forward to him getting into a feud with Dean Douglas. I'm looking forward to those matches.
Yeah, same here. It's no secret I'm a fan of Shane Douglas, so curious to see how well he pairs up with everybody here, and if Razor Ramon is his only feud, because I know this is a very short run. Well, we'll come back from that WrestleMania 11 The Special commercial and go into our next match. Jean-Pierre Lafitte defeats Brian Welsh by pinfall in 3 minutes and 18 seconds. And Brian Welsh is our Jobber of the Week. Take it, Ryan.
Thank you, Jason. Brian Walsh is this week's Jobber. Not really sure of Brian's real name or birth date, but he was born in the state of New Hampshire and was trained by Killer Kowalski and wrestled under the names Billy Pearl and Brian Walsh.
Billy Pearl.
Walsh made his debut on September 24th, 1986, defeating Eric Sabracha for the promotion American Wrestling Association. Then there is no information about Brian until 1991, which usually means that these guys are wrestling in very small local events, but there's no official record of the matches. Welsh spent most of 91 wrestling in small events in Germany before returning to the U.S. for his WWF debut on November 13th, 1991, losing to Ric Flair on WWF Superstars. After that, he didn't have another match with the WWF for a couple more years, wrestling again in Germany and also bouncing back to the United States, wrestling for the Studio City, California-based promotion, SWF, where Brian held the SWF Heavyweight Championship twice.
Oh.
Then in November of 93, Welsh began jobbing regularly for the WWF. Brian lost to many of the company's biggest stars over the next 5 years, losing his final match for the WWF on March 30th, 1998, against former Jobber of the Week turned superstar Scott Taylor on WWF Shotgun Saturday Night. After leaving the WWF in early 98, Welsh began wrestling for the Vermont-based promotion Green Mountain Wrestling, holding their television title twice throughout 98, before retiring on November 21st, 1998, after winning against the Blue Dream. Brian Walsh's jobber record was 21 wins, 51 losses, and 2 draws.
Had to be just one loss off of a half and half record, huh?
Couple nice things in there. He was a champion at a promotion twice and got to wrestle against Ric Flair. Not bad.
Ryan, what was the name of, or the call letters of that promotion again?
Which one?
The where he was champion, I think.
The television champion or heavyweight champion?
Heavyweight.
All right. Heavyweight champion was the SWF out of Studio City, California.
My God. Does anybody remember that? The significance of the SWF?
No, sorry.
No.
That was the SWF Battle Royale starring Big Larry and all of the other guys in the ICP Stranglemania video.
Oh, that's why I don't know.
Yeah, no, I didn't remember that.
For the $25 pot. Yeah, that's anybody that ever watched ICP Stranglemania, that was the SWF Battle Royale that they showed in between.
It's possible that Brian Walsh was involved in that.
It is very possible, yes. Actually, the more I think about it, I want to say there was a guy in the SWF Battle Royale there that they were calling Surf Boy Richie that looked a lot like Brian Welsh. I could be wrong, though.
Richie Cunningham.
Well, if his name wasn't Billy Pearl or Brian Walsh, it wasn't him.
Billy Pearl. Well, thank you, Ryan. Enlightening as always. Back in the match. Here, at the beginning of the match, is where we learn that Jean-Pierre Lafitte has stolen Bret Hart's jacket. Apparently his mother made it for him. I didn't know she was such a great leathersmith.
Those Harts, they could do it all.
But then again, working Stu Hart every night, you'd kind of have to be, huh? All right. Brian Welsh should have named himself the Saltine, because my God, he is the whitest non-albino man I've ever seen. Even his trunks, he picked white trunks and white boots.
You know, I have noted that he kind of looks like a cheap knockoff of one of the Von Erich brothers.
Oh,
he
does.
He kind of looks like one of those guys.
I thought you were going to say Powder.
Or Powder.
Well, yeah, Powder.
Very pasty.
My God, the 90s references that we're throwing out here today. We're going to get Bret Hart on the phone here during this match, and for once, I'm not annoyed at all at that, because Bret Hart says, and I quote, "I guess he's supposed to be a pirate. I didn't think pirates existed anymore." Quite possibly the single greatest line from anybody in 1995 so far. My sentiments exactly, Bret. Thank you. Meanwhile, in the ring, Jean-Pierre Lafitte is beating the shit out of the Saltine. And once again, the gestures leading into the Cannonball finisher, completely unnecessary. But the Cannonball looked great. And of course, Jean-Pierre gets the 3 count there. All in all, Jean-Pierre doesn't really give us anything bad. I can't think of a single bad thing, move, spot, whatever, Jean-Pierre has done. Joe, what did you think of this match?
Yeah, I agree with you on Jean-Pierre, and the Cannonball is a pretty cool move, too. He didn't do the stupid pirate flag thing this time, so that was nice.
Baby steps.
Brian, our jobber, is flopping around like a fish this whole match, pretty much. The phone call with Bret Hart, like even that wasn't really annoying. You know how those can be pretty bad sometimes and take all of the attention away. But I didn't think this was too bad, and Bret had a couple funny things to say. I can just hear it in his voice that he thinks that this is just the dumbest shit that he's ever worked with.
And that's saying something, because he just worked with a fucking dentist.
Yeah, the stealing of all of the things. I can just hear it in his voice.
Yeah, I mean, as far as jobber matches go, which is, mostly what we get out of Jean-Pierre, it was pretty good. Brian Walsh, like you said, flopped around the ring fairly well as he just got his white ass beat. I mean, like, I haven't seen someone this pale in quite some time. And why?
Not even Paul Bearer?
and like, if you're this white, why do you pick white trunks and white boots? Like, are you trying to blind people? I don't. But, I completely agree. Most of the time when they decide to go to these calls, it's very distracting. But here, since it was just Walsh getting his ass kicked, you were able to still kind of follow that. And the King got to bring up Lonesome Dove.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, for you, Bartlett, he repackaged the defeat line, and instead of using it for his foot match, used it in reference to Jean-Pierre Lafitte's name. So I'm sure you were thrilled when you heard that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was happy to see that he dropped the stupid flag on the chest before he did the cannonball, because the cannonball is a good-looking finisher. He still pulled the flag out at the end and laid it on him, but that's fine. If you're going to do it on him after, okay, but just don't ruin your finisher with it. So I thought, all in all, it was a serviceable match.
Yeah, agreed. And I got to thinking about it, and I think maybe it was a strategic move, wearing the white trunks and the white panties on top of being an extremely white individual, because I mean, he knew he was going up against Jean-Pierre Lafitte, a man that only has one eye. So
that's true.
Being blinding probably has like some kind of like advantage modifier attached to it if you're going up against a one-eyed pirate.
He was already has the depth perception problem. So
all right, well, gentlemen, the ring crew are attempting to reinforce the ring.
You have to. That girth.
Yeah, so much girth.
Yeah. So I can't let this pass. Just ever so briefly, Joe, does the fact that they've made a point of reinforcing the ring get you any more excited for what's about to happen?
Oh, I was fully torqued when I saw them turning that key.
As torqued as that key.
Yeah, same here. Just I couldn't hold in my enthusiasm after
I can hear you getting
them.
worked up right now.
Yeah, after seeing them cranking those ropes down, I just couldn't contain myself.
The girth.
He's over there sweating like Dean Douglas giving us a lesson thinking about this.
Like Yokozuna walking down to the ring.
Oh, God. Well, we can't continue to waste time here, gentlemen. We have to get to this meeting of the mammoths. It's our final match of the night. Owen Hart and Yokozuna defeat Men on a Mission, that's King Mabel and Sir Mo, by pinfall in 9 minutes and 30 seconds. That's right, 9 minutes and 30 seconds. And with Ryan guessing 7 minutes and 30 seconds, that makes Ryan the winner of our gentleman's wager about the length of this match. Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Win absolutely nothing. It's great that we got a replay of King Mabel's coronation here, but that close-up of him sitting there in a sweaty pile, breathing heavily while Sir Mo was talking about him was exactly what I needed to get excited about this match. If that ring adjustment didn't get me there, this really did. Let's replay now over and over the footage of King Mabel injuring Diesel's back because why not? I mean, it happened for real. So let's use it.
Might as well roll with it.
Let's keep showing the move that almost got Mabel fired.
Yep.
Maybe that's why they're showing it.
Yeah.
Let's take you back now to WrestleMania, where Owen Hart got the pin while his mystery partner, that's Yokozuna, was leaning on the ropes out of breath. That's all I could see the entire time during this video flashback was Owen being Owen and, doing his woo thing and celebrating that he got the win. And meanwhile, Yoko is just leaning on the ropes, facing away from the hard camera. Oh, man.
One of the most nervous times I've ever watching a match for someone's life. I thought for sure Yoko was just going to drop over dead.
Yeah.
Back in our present match here, the work begins, and I have to say that I am not engaged with this at all. All of my jokes previously to the contrary. I mean, even Owen Hart isn't helping me here, and I hate to say that. I truly do. We're keeping Yoko out of this match until the end, it seems, and that's probably for the best, but that just means Owen has to sell all of these shitty moves. Quick question, guys. Whenever Yoko ends up in the ring and gets Sir Mo in the corner, did McMahon fake the sound of the chop slapping Sir Mo in the corner?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It really sounded like he did like into his microphone. I mean, I could be wrong. Please, listeners, go back and watch this episode, or at least this match. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yoko chop slapping Sir Mo in the corner. Pretty sure that was a gimmicked slap sound. I especially did not like the camera effect when Mabel clotheslines Yoko to the mat. They simulated a tremor. Whoever was carrying, Ryan, what would you call that? Like the shoulder-mounted camera?
I think, yeah, it would just be the shoulder-mounted camera.
Okay, well, whoever had that and was filming the match from ringside, whenever Yoko hits the mat, he jostles the camera to simulate tremors going through the arena. And of course, Vince McMahon sells the shit out of it. I also need to point out how risky it is to rely on Yoko coming in to save the pinfall from a 2 count. It takes him forever to get through the ropes, and we had it happen here. The ref had to clearly slow himself down in order to make time for Yoko to squeeze through the ropes in order to save the pin. The creative interference to finish the match and get the 3 count was decent, I thought, all things considered, but overall, I was just really glad to have the match over. Ryan, what did you think about this match?
No shocker here, this was not the best. You have Yoko and Men on a Mission, and really the only person worth anything left. Yoko might have been at some point in his career, but he's not anymore. The only person good in this match is Owen Hart. And he does an okay job. At the beginning, he tries his best to sell for Mo, and he kind of makes the first shoulder block look pretty decent for a Mo move. But, there wasn't much he could do to save this. I did enjoy, though, at the beginning when Vince was naming off all of the list of sponsors, he flubs up on his milk copy, and the king immediately pounces on it and points it out, saying, oh, what did you just utter, McMahon? Which is great, because Vince likes to pounce on anyone that fucks up those copies, right. So I'm sure the king was just really waiting to bring that up. But that was one of the more entertaining things about this match, because when you put these two mammoths in the ring, what were you going to get other than just slow, boring moves? And, thankfully they're not in there that long. And when they do come in, it was almost on cue. Vince says, we just got to see these two 600-pounders go at it. And then immediately they get tagged in, and they're in there for a total of probably 30 seconds. This is the first time, though, we do get to see Yoko go down with just one clothesline. Mabel nails him with one clothesline and falls, so I guess that's something. But this match kind of went as I expected.
My first note is, why is Men on a Mission still a thing? And how are fans supposed to get interested in this match with two heel teams going against each other?
Yeah.
Basically, Vince just wants to see two fat guys in the ring together, and this is the way to do it. I don't understand this at all. Have we seen heel versus heel? Like, since we started this podcast? I don't think we have.
I mean, if we really, combed through it, I'm sure we have.
Oh, yeah.
See, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just off the top of my head, no, but I'm sure we have.
So, you guys know I fucking can't stand Mo. Sir Mo is just, he's terrible. He moves in slow motion. Yeah. And he almost paralyzed Owen Hart with that suplex off the top rope. That was really dangerous. And this match should have been 7 minutes and 30 seconds max. It was a little too long, I think, because, Yokozuna, man, he was just completely gassed. Not even halfway through this.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I technically won the time pick, but I lost in the match being longer than what I picked.
Yeah, and I will say one positive thing is I really do like that double team move where Owen does the drop toe hold and then Yoko drops the leg.
Yeah, yeah.
I do like that a lot. I think that's a cool move for both of them. And Vince McMahon does not even allow them to raise their hands in victory before he starts talking about Shawn Michaels.
Well, at least he didn't invite him out to strip.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Gushing.
Speaking of, we're going to go now to pre-recorded comments from Diesel and Shawn Michaels. Shawn's eyes were looking pretty bloodshot here. I don't know if either of you guys noticed that. A little more subdued than he usually is, so I can only make guesses as to why they were bloodshot. But overall, a decent promo from Shawn Michaels, I felt. Diesel then cuts his promo. Once again, not that great.
Best buddy.
Two dudes.
I don't know where this two dudes with attitude thing came from.
They brought it up at least 20 times tonight.
It's so horrible. That's what they're officially calling this tag team of Shawn Michaels and Diesel. That's what's on the card for In Your House 3. They label them as two dudes with attitude.
And the cherry on the top to make it just want you to fucking gouge your ears out. You got to hear Petting Zoo fucking get started off too. Two dudes with attitudes.
After a brief commercial break following those promos, we come back to Vince McMahon in the ring with Jim Cornette. Cornette is speaking for the tag champs and putting over the triple threat match. Of course, we have to rehash all of these rules and examples for everybody out there to understand the triple threat match. Cornette does a fantastic job of telling a better story here about this match when he highlights the possibility for backstabbing between Diesel and Shawn Michaels to save their own belts, just throwing it out there. This is the kind of thing that actually got me a little bit engaged. I mean, I still don't give a shit about this match, but that's the most I've cared since this match was first brought up. They keep saying, and I quote, all the belts. They've said that throughout almost every reference to this match throughout this episode.
According to the terrible rules, Owen Hart, you cannot win all of the belts.
Yes. This confused the hell out of me. I thought that, I mean, if I'm understanding it correctly, the, quote, two dudes with attitude tag team could only lose one belt.
Yeah, it was whoever got pinned lost their belt, was my understanding. Unless those rules are changing yet again, then they need to go through this fucking explanation.
Oh, I'm sure we'll hear about it quite a bit on In Your House.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why I thought that Cornette's storytelling did such a great job of being a little more interesting than the rest of this shit, because, you know, with the tag belts, it doesn't matter which one of them gets pinned. They just have to prevent a loss. With, you know, Diesel and Shawn Michaels, they're more concerned about keeping their own belts, maybe. And, well, I don't know. You know, it's an angle to this gimmick match that I hadn't really thought of before because nobody on screen had brought it up before. But thankfully Cornette did, and I gave a shit for all of 2 seconds before we moved on to the other confusing aspects of it. Well, after those promos, or interview, I guess I should say, after a commercial break, we come back to green screen commentary, and Jerry the King Lawler doing his best to put over In Your House 3 next week after the pay-per-view then. So this is on Raw following In Your House 3. We're going to get the British Bulldog versus The Undertaker on Monday Night Raw. And that's it. We fade to black. The episode is over. Ryan, and again, I had such a hard time keeping this in my mind. What did you think about the way that In Your House 3's go home episode of Raw ended?
I thought it was a very bad ending, to be honest with you. You know, it's like they come back and we get an okay promo out of Shawn Michaels, but then we get Diesel, who is always been bad on promos. Then we come back to In the Ring, and Cornette does a fine job. You know, I don't have anything against what Cornette did here. I thought he did good with what he was given. You know, he was forced to utter the two dudes with attitudes line. He had to give the rules verbatim, but he does an okay job with it. And then we come back to the King's weird prediction where this was so clearly in front of a green screen that was like almost off-putting how off his and Vince's voice sounded here. And what this all kind of showed me, or was kind of telling to me, was we had a lot of time to fill. I mean, it was like they just had a good 10 minutes to waste. So after the match, we have promos and Jim Cornette talking in the ring and the King giving stupid predictions. And it was just a bunch of stuff that I didn't really care about. So I can't say that it really got me excited for the next In Your House.
Yeah, I completely agree. Typically, I like Jim Cornette, and I didn't dislike this interview with Jim Cornette, but when you hear about managers, you mostly hear that the manager's job is to get their guy over, or in this case, get his guys over, not get yourself over. And I feel like Jim Cornette was just kind of putting all the focus on him rather than Owen and Yokozuna, who I don't think even spoke, right?
No, they didn't.
So yeah, that's disappointing because Owen Hart can talk. Yokozuna's just yelling bonsai the whole time, and he doesn't even do the bonsai drop anymore because he can't. Yeah. And then it looked like he was going into convulsions there at the end. He was like shaking and sweating and spitting. Like it was just strange. So that's what I thought of it. I thought that, you know, Jim Cornette was just sort of overshadowing the fact that it's these two guys that are going to be highlighting this match.
Yeah. I can't quite say I agree with that aspect of it, but I think it's fair to say that all three of us here are coming down on the side of this was a pretty lame ending. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, details are details on that, but lame is definitely lame. So, with all that being said, the episode is over. We're going to take it on over now to highlights and lowlights. Joe, why don't you go first?
You know what, guys? I had a hard time coming up with a highlight for this episode, but then I realized that we did not get a Todd Pettingzoo in your house report. And it makes no sense because this is the go home show. You would think that
you would finally, it fits here.
So do they not care about people buying this pay-per-view? I don't know. So that's my highlight. My low light is this, not necessarily the ending, but just this match at the end, Men on a Mission versus Owen Hart and Yokozuna, and just, the way that it went home was just kind of lame mostly because Diesel and Shawn Michaels weren't even there. They just did this recorded promo. It's like, okay, well, who cares?
My highlight is the 1-2-3 Kid Razor Ramon match. I mean, I thought they worked really great together. The ending could have been better to the match. I would have preferred a clean ending to it, but I thought the ring work between the two was very entertaining and deserving of the highlight. My low light is almost exactly the same as you, Joe. I have pretty much everything from the beginning of the final match right up until we see the promo video for Undertaker vs. Bulldog. Everything in between there is low light.
Well, for low lights, guys, we are going to go 3 for 3. I'll narrow it down more specifically to everything that happens. I can't forgive. Well, not that it was that bad or anything. It's just, I can't count the Undertaker and Bulldog video getting us ready for the Raw after In Your House because we have to get through In Your House to get to that. So
that at least sounds like an entertaining match, though.
Yeah, well, I agree. It's just, it's going to be a miracle if I'm still able to watch wrestling after In Your House 3 if this fucking final match is any indication as to how things are going to go. Just a garbage way to do a go-home show. And, for the record, this is not the worst go-home show ever. We've had plenty of those.
The clip show with Beavis and Butthead will definitely take the winner for that.
Yeah, but it just felt like this was a poorly planned and poorly executed go-home show. Like they were just trying to slap it together from house show footage and just, green screen shit and Dean Douglas apparently appearing out of nowhere from some other location, even though he was just all of the shit. The fucking superimposed chop sound and just all
which is a shame because our go home show for SummerSlam was one of the best go home shows we had.
Yes. Completely agree.
Yeah, I guess just the production overall. Even the green screen ending with the King and Vince was just really looked really bad quality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's you know what? Honestly, that's probably a better way of putting it. I think I'm going to amend my low light to say just the production and planning of this show as a go home show. Specifically, if this were an ordinary episode of Raw, I mean, I really wouldn't have the ability to say that. But as a go home show, so poorly put together. My highlight was very, very easy. I guess he's supposed to be a pirate. I didn't think pirates existed anymore. Thank you, Bret Hart, for that. All right, Joseph, do you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around September 18th, 1995 for us?
I do, and you guys are, I'm sure, very familiar with the Montreal Screwjob in 1997.
Never heard of it. I'm just kidding.
Well, did you guys know that there was almost a Montreal Screwjob in 1995?
Oh.
No.
Just to give you a little backstory here, Jean-Pierre Lafitte is a current member of the roster, and Jacques, his former tag team partner, both of those guys are from Montreal. And during this time, Vince would do some shows in Montreal, and those two guys were way over with the Montreal crowd, main event guys.
Yeah.
That's how much Montreal loved those guys. Well, there was a house show planned in Montreal which featured a match between Diesel and Jean-Pierre Lafitte. Pierre refused to do a job to Diesel and take the jackknife because he felt it would hurt him as well as future crowds in Montreal if they were to go back. So he didn't want to lose to the jackknife pinned 1, 2, 3 in front of his hometown crowd. So Vince agreed to do a double countout finish, and this supposedly really pissed off Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels to the point that they were insisting that Vince fire Pierre over this.
Oh, what the fuck?
So, you know, a little bit of shit brewing in the back that...
The Click.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate, but I guess everything went okay with that. WWF did a Florida tour, which ended up being one of the most disastrous in the history of the WWF as far as attendance. Aside from a crowd of about 2,000 people in Jacksonville on September 10th, none of the shows cracked 1,000 people.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And 2 dates were actually canceled. Something else that was interesting that happened in Florida is that Goldust ended up being cheered by the crowds because when he took his wig off, the Florida crowds recognized him as Dustin Rhodes. And you can't boo a Rhodes in Florida.
Yeah.
The main events for those Florida shows, Razor Ramon versus Mabel.
Oh, man.
Jesus. No wonder nobody wanted to buy a ticket.
But Mabel missed the whole tour due to a minor back injury, and Sir Mo took his place.
Oh, my.
Losing in every city.
I'm sure he tried his heart out.
Oh, he tried.
Losing in every city.
Adam Baum, our old friend Adam Baum.
I thought
we were done with him.
Yeah.
He was scheduled for a meeting with the office this week, but sad news, guys. The odds are great that he is not coming back.
Oh,
Good.
how sad.
Tony Norris. Does that name sound familiar?
Does sound familiar.
That is the guy that we know as Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah.
He has signed a 2-year contract. Dave Meltzer says there is no word on his role or gimmick, although it would do everyone good if they sent him to Smoky Mountain for 6 months.
Yeah.
So apparently he's pretty green. I did do a little bit of research on him, and he didn't have much experience, but he did have a little bit with some of the indies scene. So yeah, look for him in the next couple months.
And if I remember correctly, as far as backstage things go, him and Ron Simmons get into it pretty good because of Ahmed Johnson's sloppy ring work, injuring Ron, and then Ron coming back and just laying a fucking beat down on him.
Yes, it will be good to see how terrible he is here at the beginning of his run.
Mm-hmm.
Last bit of news here is last week it was reported that Tatanka was suspended. Dave Meltzer is now saying that looks to have turned into a firing.
Oh.
And I think Tatanka worked pretty well into 1996. So I'm going to keep looking at this story, but the story is that there was an alleged incident in December of 1994 at a hotel in Anaheim, California, involving Tatanka and a woman who is apparently threatening a lawsuit.
Okay, so the woman's alive. This isn't a Superfly, Snuka, and Allentown thing.
No, it is not. So, yeah, she is alive. I don't know any more details, but I'm definitely going to follow this as we keep going here.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm glad that you are, because I think I remember hearing about that in some shoot, something somewhere. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm looking forward to details on that.
Every week, finding a new way to let down Native Americans worldwide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very disappointing. And this was 9 months ago. So, and that is all.
All right. Guys, I have to say, I am really excited to see Ahmed Johnson in the ring, just to see if I was an idiot as a kid or not, because as a kid, I loved Ahmed Johnson. He was one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah, same here.
I always popped for his matches. But then as an adult, you get to listening to the shoot interviews and you get to listening to people talking shit about him nonstop, about how horrible he was.
No one seems to like the guy.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard a good story about Ahmed Johnson.
No, he wasn't a good guy in the back, I guess, but he really looked like a badass. Like he really had a good look, so.
I mean, that's the same thing with like the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, there's someone who, growing up as a kid, I mean, I think anyone from our generation loved the Ultimate Warrior, but you read stories about him and the guy was just a straight up fucking douchebag ass. You know what I mean? Like nobody liked the guy.
And couldn't wrestle for shit.
No, but when I was a kid, man, when he was, feeding off the energy of the fallen warriors, I loved it.
Absolutely. That's one of those things. It's kind of like the Smoking Guns. Whenever we first got the Smoking Guns, that was a tag team that I really loved as a kid, and I was very curious to see if they stood the test of time. They did, obviously, and we're going to find out now again with Ahmed Johnson, and I don't hold out much hope for that. All right, that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us, and if you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can find us on every major social media and podcast subscription platform by searching up the handle Wrasslin Raw. That's WRASSLINRAW. While you're there, don't forget to click subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review. Let your friends know about the fastest growing wrestling podcast in the world. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at In Your House 3 with matches featuring Dean Douglas, Waylon Mercy, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.